Fischer, Understanding Your Car. When I moved in from being out in the field in my tile job, I finally got an office. And the owner of the company's father-in-law worked for our company. His name was Sam. Every day at 9:14, Sam would walk by my door in my office. I thought, well, here's an opportunity for some fun. I had a jar of peanut M&Ms that sat on my desk, so I grabbed a green peanut M&M. I placed it in the door jamb at 9:13. At 9:14, Sam walks by, looks at it, picks it up, walks away. Doesn't say a word. The next day I thought, so I put down an orange M&M. 9:14, Sam comes walking by, looks down, picks up the M&M, looks at it, walks away. Doesn't say a word. I played this game for about a week. Finally went to the owner, Doug. I said, Doug, you've got to tell me, Sam, I put these M&Ms down and he picks them up. He goes, well, Sam, you have to understand, used to be an engineer for Boeing. He made jet aircraft engines. Sam has a schedule that he sticks to relentlessly. Doug was buying Sam's car. He had a Toyota Camry that only had 40,000 miles on it, 8 years old. You got in that car, it smelled like it was brand new. I dropped Doug off to pick up that car after he bought it. I left and went home. Monday, Doug, my boss, comes into the office and says, as soon as I'm leaving my father-in-law's, I blew the motor in that car. I have no idea how that happened. Fellow Toastmasters, I know exactly how that happened. Sam, being the engineer that he was, never took that car over 4,000 RPMs. And as soon as Doug pulled out into traffic and punched it, going up to the car's capable 6,500 RPMs, poof, he blew the head gasket, kept driving, cracked the block, destroyed, made the car worthless. What does this have to do with understanding your car? It actually has a lot to do with understanding your car. You buy a new car, you know one of the first things I do when I buy a new car? I find a safe spot at a safe time, and I stop on the road, and I punch it and get it up to 65 miles an hour. And then, when I'm on the freeway at 60 miles an hour, I punch it again. And lastly, at 60 miles an hour, in a safe spot, I will slam on the brakes until I come to a complete stop. Why do you do this? 2 reasons. The first one is you want to build the tolerance of that car to the capabilities of that car. But the second and important thing is you need to understand what that car feels like and what it's going to do under those conditions. Now, break-in periods for cars are typical 500 miles. So I don't recommend doing that until you hit about 500 miles. But car manufacturers design cars in a specific way. And they design them with what's called understeer. How many here know what understeer is? Understeer is when your wheels are turned like this, but your car keeps going forward. That is called understeer. And everything has to do with the transfer of weight in a vehicle. So what manufacturers want you to do when you're dealing with understeer is to tap the brakes and put the weight transfer to the front wheels to get more tire on the ground to make it actually turn. Now, a severe case of understeer was the Corvair. If you remember the Ralph Nader unsafe at any speed, that was a car that had the weight towards the back. And so the front tires didn't have much contact with the road. But everybody back then was so accustomed to rear-wheel drive cars that they made the mistake of driving and it didn't hit the brakes. And they were used to powering around corners and fishtailing. Which leads me to what oversteering is. Oversteering is when your wheels are turned this way, but the back end is kicked out. Now something very counterintuitive has to happen here for you to correct this. In rear-wheel drive cars, when it starts to slide out, even in front-wheel drive cars, you know what you're supposed to do when this happens to you? You're actually supposed to give it a little bit of gas. You need to transfer the weight to the back wheels to get them to contact the road You also have to tap the brakes, but if you're in this position in an oversteer and you hit the brakes, you're gone. Now, my wife and I bought a 2006 Charger RT when they first came out with the Hemi engine. And I knew what the car's capabilities were. We were going down the 60, and you know that curve going around the 60 when your traffic is all trying to get over in the left-hand lane. Everybody's slamming on their brakes, cars are flying, spinning around. Counterintuitively, my wife is bracing for impact like I'm going to brake, but I didn't. I saw an opportunity, I punched my car, I made it through. Everybody else, I look at my rearview mirror, cars are scattered everywhere. That's part of understanding what your car can do. Now that you have a better understanding of your car and weight transfer and what it's supposed to do, the other real key element to driving your automobile is driving with your peripheral vision. How many of you here actually do that? Good. That's the way you should do it. You should not be staring at the car in front of you. If you do, and I've explained this before, you see skid marks in front of a telephone pole, that's because you're staring right at the telephone pole. You have to look at where you want to go or where you want to be going. I was actually with a friend of mine in his car, but because I pay attention when I'm in a car, I'm watching with my peripheral vision. I see a car 2 lanes over, about 4 car lengths ahead of us, start doing one of these. And he started hitting, my friend Ed started hitting his brake. And I said, punch it, Ed. And he's, what? I said, punch it. Get away from that guy. He ended up punching it, getting away. That car ended up spinning out, and there was a huge pileup again behind us. And if I hadn't have been in the car, Ed's instinct, because he was staring at the car in front of him, was to hit his brake and try and get away from that accident. So you have to understand in peripheral vision, if you can't see past the car in front of you, find a way. If you drive over that white line in the road, your car's not going to explode. You'll be okay. But find a way to make sure that you can see around you. Now, people, if they see me driving down the road, I drive offensively. Yes, I maybe do offend some people, but I'm talking about driving on the offense as opposed to driving as a defensive driver. Meaning, if I'm behind a car and I see them digging, rooting around for their cell phone or their car is wiggling around and they're not paying attention, I will do whatever is necessary to punch it and get around that car in front of me. Because when, not if, but when that person ends up getting in some kind of an accident, I want to be ahead of it. I don't want to be behind it where most people are going to instinctively slam on their brakes and try and stop for that car that's having the problems. I want to be in front of it. So just to recap, you get a new car, take it out, make sure you understand what it can do, what its capabilities are. Tudor, I know you know how fast your car will go. I've seen it 1,000 times on the internet. But you need to understand and not be scared of what it can do. Slam on the brakes to know if it's going to pull to the left or to the right. Today, cars have designed in them most of these things, anti-lock brakes, anti-skid control devices in the car already. But you still need to understand what those capabilities are and how they react in your vehicle. And I highly recommend that your family, your kids, your wife, everybody who drives that vehicle understands that and knows what the conditions are like when you have to give it the beans. Lastly, if you know or have an engineer in your family, get a bag of peanut M&Ms and have some fun. Because that is a lot of fun. Thank you.